morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We've got some folks coming in to the live session here. Welcome to the November session of the Daring to Learn webinar series. My name is Elena Boyd. I'm an extension assistant with the UT Center for Profitable Agriculture. If you are a repeat Daring to Learn webinar participant, you will probably recognize me. I'm normally the one that sends you guys the emails and information about our sessions. Um, I'm looking forward to our session today. We've got Travis Key with TK Digital Marketing going to be talking to us about using meta ads to drive sales and acquire new customers. So I will go ahead and turn things over to Travis and let him get started. All right.
All right, can we see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank everybody for jumping on today. We're going to talk about using Meta, aka Facebook ads. The term Meta now, it's what most marketing people call it because it's more than just Facebook. You can do Instagram ads at the same time and all that. So we're going to be talking about how you can use this to drive sales and acquire new customers for your business. And I'll be giving some examples that I use with some of my clients as we go along here. So let's jump right in. So before we get started, important to note here, this is kind of a high level discussion. So we're going to assume that you already have what we call your plumbing in place as far as your Meta business page goes. Because to do these ads and stuff like this, you have to have all that in place first. So we're assuming you're familiar with the whole Meta Business Suite part of things with your business page, and you have all that hooked up and connected to your website, and which is pretty easy to do. But if you have any issues with that, feel free to email me after the presentation, and we can take a look for you. So we're going to assume that you got that in place for your plumbing. And today we're going to be talking about how to create audiences to serve your ads, to talk about some different ad formats and just some basic strategies for ad campaigns on the Meta platform. And this is going to be mostly e-commerce based. So for people that are selling products online, maybe not necessarily a product, you could be selling tickets to an event or something like that. But people who are, getting transactions on their website online. So first, let's talk about this whole boosting thing, because this is where a lot of people get confused when they want to do some type of advertising on the Meta platform. They post something on Facebook or Instagram, and they see this little blue button down there. This is boost post. Or a lot of times, if you just post something, if you schedule a post within the Meta Business Suite, it will nowadays automatically ask you, do you want to boost it or not? And a lot of people get confused with this. They think it's the same as running ads, and it's not really. So boosting is different than ads due to the complexity of being able to serve the ads to certain people. So boosting is good for testing ad content. So if you've never done ads before and you want to see, okay, what type of post or what type of content is going to get more engagement, boosting is a cheap and easy way to do that. You can take a simple post like you see here, these Brussels sprouts, and I could boost that for just say $5 a day or something like that, and see how people respond to it. And if they responded well, I could say, well, then this might be a good photo to use for a more complex ad campaign down the road. So, think about boosting as a way to kind of test things, but this is boosting is different than what we're going to be talking about today, creating a meta ads strategy. With the boosting, you can define some kinds of audiences. You can narrow it down to who sees the boost, but you can't really dig into the audiences like you can with the meta ads within the Meta Business Suite. Okay. And another thing before we get into some of the strategies here, one thing to note, and I go over this with a lot of clients and prospective clients, you really have to have a decent marketing budget set aside to do this. If you're pinched for pennies in your business, it's going to be tough to run successful meta ad campaigns. Each ad is going to need at least $20 a day, and that's just because the meta ad system needs that much to learn, you know, the right people to serve your ads to. I've had clients who only want to do like $5 a day per ad, and it just never pans out. It never works. So you got to put so much in the machine to really get a decent return and performance out of your ads. One thing we're going to talk about a lot today is this metric called ROAS, which stands for return on ad spend. So we don't necessarily want to focus on how much we're spending on ads. We want to focus on the return on ad spend we're getting. So the amount of sales, for instance, that we're getting. And if you're going to do this, you really need to be prepared to push the limits. So if you've got a ad or set of ads that's performing really well, you need to be prepared to push those and maximize the potential of those ads. I always give my clients this scenario, if I said, "Hey, give me $20 and I'll give you $100 back," most people are going to take that no problem. But if I said, "Give me 500 and I'll give you 2,500 back," some people get a little bit nervous because then it's $500, not $20. But think about it in that perspective there. Either way, you're multiplying your investment times five. So you really need to be prepared if you're going to do this, if you've got really good performing ads to push them to their limits there and maximize sales. Okay, let's go over this ROAS versus ROI thing because this can be confusing to a lot of people, and we'll be talking about ROAS a lot as we work through this presentation. So let's talk about ROAS, or return on ad spend, first. So this is a very basic calculation, and the Meta Ads platform actually does this calculation for you, but you're just taking how much you spent on the ad campaign versus what you gained in revenue, and it gives you a number there. And we'll talk about what's a good ROAS number and what's maybe not a good ROAS number, but it's just how much revenue you obtained from that ad campaign divided by how much you spent on that ad campaign. So a really, really simple metric. You'll also hear some people talk about ROI, or return on investment. That's a little more of a complex calculation, because then you're figuring in your net profit, your net spend, and all that, the cost of the goods and all that. So we don't really look at ROI when we're thinking about ad campaigns. We more look at the return on ad spend there. Just kind of keep it simple. And we that gives us a pretty good indicator of meta campaign performance. So before you even create an ad campaign in the Meta platform, you really need to establish what's your comfort level as far as the return on ad spend you want to see. And there's some things you can consider here when you determine that, whatever that number is for your business. So, think about your profit margin. If you've got really good profit margins, then you can afford to spend more on ads. You've got more cushion there to work with. If you're working with really tight profit margins, then it's going to be a little tougher because you don't have a lot to spend on advertising there. Another thing to look at is your average order value. If the average order value on your website is $20, it's going to be kind of tight. You don't have a lot of wiggle room there as far as what you can spend to acquire a new customer. If your average order value is $100, then you've got a little more wiggle room there. And there's things we do on the website build level, and with other marketing opportunities to always try to increase the average order value for a particular website, because that gives you more comfortability as far as what you can spend on ads. Another thing to look at is your return customer rate. So, if if you have a really good product and you do a good job following up with your customers on email and other things like that, then you can afford to spend more to acquire that customer the first time because you know they're going to come back and buy your products again or spend more money with your company again. So you're not necessarily looking at the analytics of that initial purchase because you know you're going to get, a lot more than that from that customer down the road. Another metric we look at a lot of times is what we call lifetime value, which kind of plays into that return customer rate. How much, if you acquire a customer one time, how much are they going to spend with your company over their lifetime? And this can be tricky to calculate. Some web platforms will give you a good estimate of that, just based on return customer rate. But it helps having a good idea of what this is because even if I break even on this initial purchase, what it costs to acquire this customer initially, even if I just break even on their first purchase, if I know they're going to buy from me 5 to 10 more times, then I'm good with that because I'm going to come out all right in the end. So you have to determine what you want versus what is realistic. Any business is going to want a return on ad spend or a ROAS of 10, but is that actually possible? And sometimes it's just not possible. So typically with my clients, we use this kind of scale where a return on ad spend of less than 3 is not that satisfactory. We're looking for something around a 5. If we get between 5 and 10 or greater, that is exceptional. Now, like I mentioned earlier, some companies are fine with breaking even on that initial purchase. So they're fine with a ROAS less than 3 if they know they have a really good return customer rate and they get a really good lifetime value from their customer. So there's a lot of things to consider here, but it's good to set some benchmarks as far as your ROAS comfort level in the beginning. That way you can say, okay, these ads are performing to my standards or they're not. All right, so let's talk about audience creation, because there are several different ways to do this, and I'm going to go over kind of the old way we used to do it with a lot of my clients, and then the new way we do it as Meta has changed and different things have changed over the years. So if you're in Meta Business Suite, you click on that little hamburger, what we call a hamburger there. Those 3 lines, all these options pop up here, and you'll see an audiences tab right there. So the old way we used to create audiences is to create segments based on the familiarity of your business with people you're serving ads to. So we would create 3 audience segments: a cold segment, a warm segment, and a hot segment. And to quickly define these here, a cold audience would be people who have never heard of you. You probably heard the term cold calling that salesmen use. They're just, getting a list of numbers and calling people out of the blue. So we have a cold audience, people never heard of your business. Then we have a warm audience, people who know who you are. They may have been to your website. They may even follow your Facebook or Instagram page, but they've never purchased anything from your company. And then we have what we call the hot audience. This would be people who have purchased from your company or people who have maybe added something to the cart and for whatever reason didn't actually make the purchase. But people that are very, very familiar with your business. So we have these 3 segments that we kind of define. And then within the actual Meta platform, I'll give you kind of an idea of how we establish these segments here. So the cold audiences, we use this lookalike feature that Meta provides. So you basically upload a list, and then Meta uses all their data to create a lookalike audience. So you can upload things like your customer list, your email newsletter list. They already have a list of your page followers, and if you have your everything, all your plumbing connected right, they already have kind of a list of your web visitors. You can go into the Meta audience creation tab there and create these lookalike audiences based on data you provide to Meta or data that they already have. And you can see some of these here we've done with one of my clients in Tennessee, Oaks Daylilies. We created a lookalike audience based on their Instagram followers, their Facebook followers, their email list, their web visitors, and their customers there. And these lookalike audiences are usually pretty good historically. Then the warm audiences, we're using data that Meta already has and data from our website. We call these retargeting ads because remember, the warm audiences is people who are familiar with your business but maybe have not purchased anything from you before. So you can see here we set up these segments. People that visited Oaks Daylilies website within the last 30 days. Um, People who engage with their Instagram posts, liking or commenting on a post within the last year. Same thing with the Facebook engagement. Then we have, their followers on IG or Facebook there. Now, one thing to mention here with these warm audiences, you would need a respectable amount of web traffic or social media engagement, sorry, to pull this off here. If you just had, 1,000 followers on Facebook or Instagram, it wouldn't be worth creating a segment like this. But if you've got a decent following and a decent amount of web traffic, this was a good way to do it. And then the hot audiences here, you can see how these segments differ. So this is we're using the actual customer list here and the people who added to cart. And this is all coming from data that your website provides to Meta. And so, with these hot audiences here, we're targeting people who either purchased or really came close to purchasing from your website. And that whole hierarchy of the cold, warm, and hot, I used it successfully for quite a few years with many different clients. But over time, Meta develops new ways of doing things. And so it doesn't work as well for some businesses as it does others. I've done it very successfully with some businesses, others, it just works okay. It's a good way to try things in the beginning to create those segments there and kind of understand how each of those segments performs. Your ROAS is always going to be lower with that cold audience and greater with the warm, and should be even better with the hot audiences. So you have to kind of establish separate benchmarks for cold, warm, and hot. One thing that's kind of made it not work as well is all the Apple iOS security changes. Apple is not allowing Meta to track people as much as it used to, and so they don't get as much data from people, crawling the web off of Facebook as they used to. And another thing that has kind of changed things over the years, the more data Meta gets, the more it knows about people. And with AI and everything, it can really learn people's behavior and what they're interested in just based on what they're doing on the Meta platforms, whether it be Facebook or Instagram. So that was the old way we used to do it. And I don't, I've probably not done that way, that technique with a client in close to a year. Most of the campaigns we're doing now, we're using this feature called Advantage Plus Shopping that is done within the Meta platform. So they're using their data to kind of do their thing. And contrary to what a lot of people believe, they actually want you to win. Meta wants your ads to be successful. They want you to have a high return on ad spend or ROAS with your ads, because if your ads are working, then you're going to keep advertising, you're going to keep spending more money. So they have invested a lot into being able to serve ads to the people who are more likely to react, click the link, visit your website, and purchase something. So you see here the screenshot at the bottom right there says Advantage Plus Shopping Campaign. When you go to create a campaign, you'll have the option of doing the Advantage Plus or the manual sales campaign. What I mentioned earlier with those cold, warm, and hot segments, that's more manual. The Advantage Plus, you let Meta do a lot of the work for you. And you can see to the right here, some of these ads here, and this is what I named them, just so I know if it's a manual audience or if it's an Advantage Plus audience there. So before we get into kind of the nitty gritty of them, the ads themselves a little bit, let's talk about this whole campaign versus ad set versus ads, because this gets confusing to a lot of people within the um, Meta ads dashboard, so to speak. So the way this that Meta has set it up is for you to be able to create different ads within a campaign. Maybe you have a holiday campaign you're running, and so maybe you have 5 to 10 ads within that campaign, and they have it set it up. They have it set up, or you can set it up where you can just say, okay, I want to spend $100 a day on this campaign, and they will attribute that money to the best performing ads. And so that's why you have this hierarchy of campaign, ad set, and ads. It's really designed to optimize the performance of the ads, and they'll filter more money to the better performing ads. And that works, but I usually prefer a more manual approach with it. So what I do is I keep each individual ad within its own campaign, so I can tweak each ad as I need to. It's a little more easier to do that, because sometimes you might have a really good looking ad that would perform great, but if it's in a campaign or ad set with one or two other ads that are just killing it, that other ad is never really going to see the light of day. And so you might think it was a bad performing ad when in actuality it's just because those other ones were getting all the ad spend. So I like to keep them separated. Different people have different thoughts on that. So when you're creating an ad, it's first, once you established what your kind of benchmark ROAS is, it's going to ask you what's your objective. And for the purpose of this presentation here, it's for sales. So we want people to go to our website and buy something. There are other options there. You can choose awareness, traffic, engagement, leads. But for this presentation, we're talking about sales. And then so you click the objective, and then over here we would click this Advantage Plus shopping campaign. And there's a lot of different ad formats that you can then choose from. And I think it's a good idea to play around and try different ones. Different clients I have success with different ad formats, but it's good to kind of put several different formats out there to see which ones really work for your company. And you can be advertising the same product over several different ad formats. And so someone is seeing that in different ways, and that usually kind of helps seal the deal and get them to go make a purchase. So the most basic ad format would be the single image or single product. Here's one from Baker Creek Seed Company, and they're advertising the seeds for this particular cucumber variety right here. And so you just upload a single image there into when you're creating the ad, and then that's what people see. And there's a shop now button down there. If you click that, it would take you to the product page for this particular uh, pickle variety or cucumber variety. Then you have what we call the product carousel ads, and these are historically really, really effective. These are good if you have a line of products with lots of different variations. So, for instance, this Momofuku noodle company here, they sell these noodles like ramen, fancy ramen noodles online, and they have quite a few different flavors you can pick from. So, this carousel ad, you click the little arrow button there, and you kind of thumb through all the different flavors, and you can click on any particular one and go to that product page. So this is good if you have a lot of different products with um, slightly different variations. For instance, I um, my other company, Lazy Dog Farm, we sell fig trees, and we have like 50 something different varieties. This type of ad would be great because people could see all the different varieties you've got, and you can put hundreds of different variations within one of these carousel ads. So people are just scrolling through there. It really helps kind of highlight if your specialty is offering a lot of different variations. These types of ads really help highlight that. Then you have the slideshow option, and this is really neat because Facebook or Meta will actually create this for you. So you can use photos that you've already used in social media posts in the past. You can use your own photo library uh, via your uploads, or you can upload, 10 or 12 photos, and it will create a slideshow for you. And you can tweak how that slideshow looks, how long each slide lasts, things like that. And they dress them up a little bit. And it's actually a very, very effective marketing tool that helps you out if you don't know how to do video editing or anything like that. Saves you a lot of time. Just upload the photos and tweak it a little bit, and Facebook puts together a nice little creative slideshow to show different products you may carry. Another one is vertical video. So video shot on a phone with a vertical aspect ratio. And these are some of the most effective ads, in my opinion. Now, yes, these do take a little more work because you got to go shoot this little 1 minute video or so, but these work really, really well. And for one of my clients, Oaks Daylilies, we do a lot of these vertical videos, and they usually almost always perform well for us. You can see Ken here is showing off some of his daylily plants that he was shipping that day. It really helps connect with the viewer and show them the quality of their plants, and really trigger people to buy. So usually use vertical video, the vertical format for shorter videos, say a minute long or so. If you want to kind of tell a story with your ads, you would then want to use a wide form video. This is a company out of, I think they're in New Mexico, I believe. Um, and they sell Hatch chili that they jar up and season up. I've bought some of it, really, really good. But this guy does some longer form video for ads, talking about his product, showing the fields where they grow the chilies that they put in their sauce. And they do a really good job with that. So if you're just going to highlight something real quick, go with a vertical video. If you want to tell more of a story with a longer video, go with the wide video. Both of them work good. I think it's a good idea to try both. So once you upload your video or your photo, whatever the ad format you're going to use, um, then you'll have all these options for the text that you can put on the ads. You'll have what they call the primary text. That's what you see up top there. So on this ad, the primary text is free shipping for fall on orders over, what's it, $100. You'll also have the ability to put in additional offers, company value. So you have the headline here. That's going to be what you see in bold down there. And then the description is what you see below the headline. So you want to take advantage of all these text options here, and kind of emphasize sales or company values, things like that. So this particular ad, we put free shipping in the primary text. And then for every daylily order they get, they always include a free bonus plant. So we put that as the headline there, which automatically shows up in bold. And then in the description, I always like to put like a company value, something that distinguishes them. So we put farm fresh daylilies so people know these plants are freshly dug and shipped to their customers. So, get creative with those. You don't, and the bottom part there with the headline and the description, you don't have a room for a long sentence or a paragraph or anything like that. But it's a really good way to kind of seal the deal and get somebody to click your ad. All right. So once you've got your ad created, you'll define what you want your budget to be. And like I said earlier, you really need to give each ad at least $20 a day. If you don't, the Meta platform has a hard time learning who is responding to your ad the best, who to serve it to, and you typically see lackluster performance. So I always recommend starting each ad at least at $20 a day. If that means you can only afford to run one ad at a time, then you only run one ad at a time. But make sure to give each ad $20 a day. And once you get it going, do not touch it for a week. Just let it run. Even if it looks like it is performing poorly, just let it run for a week. Sometimes ads take you know, five or six, seven, maybe even 8 days to really start training and for the Meta platform to start learning what works best. So don't touch it for a week. And then after a week, then you can start making adjustments. You can start increasing the budget if you like the return on ad spend that you're getting. And you can see all this within that ads dashboard. It will tell you what the ROAS of a particular ad is. When you're bumping the ad, you have to be really careful not to bump it too much. So I always tell people to start out bumping it $5 a day. For whatever reason, if you bump the ad spend or the daily budget too much at one time, it kind of throws it off and it will start declining in performance. So let's say you started an ad at $20 a day, it was running for a week. After a week, your ROAS is like 10 to 15. You're killing it. Well, some people might be inclined to let's okay, well, let's double or triple this ad budget. Let's make it 40 or $60. If you do that, it just kind of breaks the system for whatever reason. So just bump it slow, bump it $25 one day to 30 the next day to 35 the next day. Now, once you get up in the $100 a day range, you can start bumping it $10 a day or $20 a day, so forth. But you got to be careful in the beginning. So I always usually start out at 20, sometimes maybe 30, and then just bump it $5 a day. Just be patient with it. If it's performing well, just bump it slow. One thing you have to be on the lookout for, though, is ad fatigue. Depending on how small your niche market is, over time, anybody that would be interested in your product may have seen that ad and decided if they're going to buy it or not. So Facebook will actually tell you, or the Meta ads platform will actually tell you if your ad is experiencing fatigue, but you can look at your ROAS over time and see if you're getting any ad fatigue there. So, your ROAS is doing well, and then all of a sudden it starts to fall off, maybe because everybody's seen the ad, or maybe due to some seasonality with your product. So you have to keep a close eye on it and watch for it starting to fall and getting to that threshold where you don't feel comfortable anymore. You got to be careful though, being too reactionary with this, because I've seen ads that are performing really well. For whatever reason, they'll go on a 2-day stretch where they kind of fall below our comfortable threshold, and then they'll jump back up. So don't react on a daily basis, monitor on a daily basis, but don't react on a daily basis. More look at how the ad performed over the last 7 days. And if you start to see some 7-day trends there, then you can pull the ad and put new ads up or react accordingly. One of the big things here, especially if you're a seasonal business, is to keep publishing new ads. So even if you've got a couple good ads out there, keep putting new ads in the system once you get the hang of doing all this, because you can have a video ad that's doing really, really well. Eventually it's going to fall off. But if you keep putting new ones in the system, that helps. And it also helps those people that didn't react to the first ad. Maybe they saw it, like what you said, but just weren't convinced they wanted to buy. You keep hitting them with different ad formats, different video content. That really helps seal the deal for some people. And as I mentioned earlier, you really got to understand seasonality here. So I know in the agricultural realm, a lot of businesses are seasonal. My fig tree business is seasonal. The Ken Oaks Daylily business is seasonal. So if you have a seasonal business, your return on ad spend, your ROAS is going to vary depending on what time of year it is. with their daylilies. I know during the peak part of the season, our ROAS is going to be higher, and we can have a higher threshold because we expect better performance from the ads during their peak season. As fall approaches and people are less interested in buying and planting daylilies, we have a lower ROAS threshold. We may be okay with a 3 and a 4, whereas we were looking for a 7 or 8 during the busy season. So understand that ad performance will change throughout the year. Your threshold for certain metrics should change accordingly. So set different goals, and as you go from the beginning of the peak season to the peak to the kind of falling off later in the year. All right, some take home tips here to kind of wrap all this up, and then we should have time for some questions. Um, so you got to give the meta system enough money to learn and find your customers. If you don't, it just can't, you don't have enough money in the system for it to determine, okay, this group of people, this segment of people is more likely to respond to this type of ad. So you got to give it enough money to do its thing. And like I told you earlier, they want you to be successful because they want you to continue spending advertising dollars with them. Try a wide range of ad formats. Try the single image, try the carousel. If you've got, lots of different variations of a particular product, and definitely try multiple video formats. If you're not quite comfortable shooting video yet, or being in front of a camera, go with the slideshow. That's a great option. It kind of creates a product video for you without anybody having to talk. But the vertical video works really, really well. The wide video works well if you're telling a story. Be prepared to have a wide range of ad formats. Really plan it out and think about it before you just dive in to the meta ads here. The more diverse you are with your ad formats, the more successful you will probably be. Uh, and as such, you want to have plenty of video content in your arsenal. These little vertical videos, they don't take a lot of effort. They don't really take any editing. You just grab your phone, find something interesting about your business, even if you're just doing a sale for the month or something like that. Just film yourself talking in front of the camera. Be personable. You don't need to be all salesy. Just use it as a way to show you're human and you're providing this really good product. Even if you're saying the same thing on multiple videos, just say it in a slightly different way. The more video content you have to use for your ads, the more flexible you're going to be able to be. Like I said earlier, you want to monitor these ads daily on a daily basis, but don't necessarily react on a daily basis. So keep an eye on them daily, especially if they're performing well, because you're going to want to bump them that $5 a day every day. But as far as pulling ads go, don't be too reactionary. Give them a week or so of lackluster performance before you pull them, because a lot of times they'll dip down and then jump back up for whatever reason. Sometimes that's hard to explain, but try not to react too fast if you see it just drop a day or two. Other thing here, what we call cheerleaders, they really help. So if your business has been around for a while and you have a decent sized customer base, I'll use Oaks Daylilies again, for example. So when we run meta ads for them, they have a nice customer base, pretty decent following on social media. When we run ads, what happens is all the people that just love their company and been ordering daylilies from them for years will comment on their ads. And they'll comment, great company, love ordering daylilies from these folks, been ordering daylilies from them for 20 years, all this stuff. They get all this positive reinforcement on their ads. And I know everybody doesn't do this, but a lot of people, when they see an ad, one of the first things they do is they look at how many comments are on it, and they click the comments to see what people are saying about this particular company, especially if it's a company they've never heard of before. So if it's that ad is being served to somebody for the first time, they click those comments, and they see all these positive things being said about this company, and that really, really helps. Now, this is you really can't fake this, but if you've got a good loyal following of people, man, they will only help your ad performance be even better because they love your company and they'll comment that, and then people who see the ads will see that, and it just really helps increase the performance of your ads over time. And then lastly, and going with the cheerleader theme, we want to be aggressive. We want to be aggressive. So um, if you're going at this uh, and you're a little too cautionary, you're probably not going to get results. Doing meta ads is for somebody who's looking to kind of aggressively grow their business. If you're scared of it, if you're a little too cautionary, if you're pinching pennies with your business, it's probably going to be hard to successfully do meta ads. You really need to kind of have the mindset, okay, we're going to put this much money in, see how these ads perform, and we're going to be prepared to push these ads to the limit if they're performing to the metrics we have set. So, with that being said, if you have any, we'll take some questions here in a minute, as we always do. Looks like we've got 15 minutes or so. If you have any longer questions or want to, do a consult at some time, you can always send me an email, Travis at tkdigitalmktg.com, and reach out and we can go from there.
Travis, we do have a question in the question and answer, and if you answered that already, I may have missed it. From April Moore. She asks if we're not quite yet able to sell online, would just boosting existing content be a good way to prepare for creating ads later when they're ready?
Um, Yes, possibly. I always, when you're boosting something, um, it gives you the option to put a button down there. So with that button, you could do several different things. You could have it be a learn more button. You can have it be a buy now button that will take them directly to the product. If you're going to pay to boost something, I like to have that button there doing something for you. So, you know, I like to at least have it going to your website, getting people to sign up for an email newsletter list. Even if you're not selling products yet, try to do that to create some buzz for the products that you're about to sell. I don't know that I would boost just for the sake of boosting, unless I was going to get something out of it. If you're paying Meta to boost that post and it's giving you the option for that button there, make use of that button.
All right. And if anybody else had any questions, we've got some time here. Looks like we've still got some folks hanging with us. You guys can use the chat function just as a reminder in that Q&A. Looks like we've okay. April responded and said thanks. They'd use that boost just to build their email list out for now.
Yeah, and that's a good option. If maybe you're not direct sales isn't your thing, but you're building awareness for something or wanting to build an email list, the boost is a good way to do that.
All right. And while we're waiting for any other questions, if you guys have those, I didn't mention this in the beginning, and I should have, but if you'll remember earlier this year, one of our Daring to Learn sessions was called Business Suite Basics. So if you've hung with us through this whole presentation and you still maybe you need a refresher on the nuts and bolts of Business Suite, or you're kind of just starting out, you can access that recording on the Center for Profitable Agriculture's YouTube channel in the same place where this recording for this meta ad session will go today. So just if you need a refresher, just to remind you guys that's there. And if we don't have any other questions, you guys are free to hop off. I will go ahead and share our um, evaluation and attendance form. So if you guys are new to Daring to Learn, or if you've not seen this screen before, we offer well, the center does not, but the Tennessee Department of Agriculture offers a educational credit for the application B, the producer diversification section of the Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program. So if you watch 5 sessions of Daring to Learn this year and fill out 5 different evaluation forms, you'll qualify for that educational credit for your application B for TAEP. So that's one reason to fill this form out, but also another reason is to just share your feedback with us, both about Travis's presentation and with Daring to Learn in general. So feel free to do that. And looks like, all right. Pam said thanks. All righty. But like I said, if you guys don't have any more questions, feel free to hop off if you need to. And we've got, how can we watch past presentations and do we get credit for them? Um, so yes, with that educational credit for TAEP, and I just wanted to stress again that that is for the application B section. Um, you will fill out these evaluation forms, and those come back to me. And so you guys have until December 31st to fill these 5 evaluation forms out. You can access the Daring to Learn recordings on the center's YouTube channel. In the follow-up emails that I send out, I've got a link um, always to the recording that we just finished and also back to that main playlist. So you guys won't get any credit for the 2023 sessions. It would have to be any of the 2024 sessions that we have posted from January until the last one in December. And then the educational credit for that you'll receive for these 2024 sessions will go towards your application next year. All right. Looks like we have gotten most folks squared away. So I will go ahead then. I'll end our recording unless anybody has one last minute question. You've got a chance to get it out. Speak now or forever hold your peace, I think.